What's up everyone, Beast Mode back with another video here. This is round 5 of RBET Rulers, or Edison Worlds. So I actually lost last round to Xeris in a zombie bear match, so I am X and 1 right now. And I have here Karpath, playing him for top 8. So the winner here will top 8. Those of you who don't know Karpath, he actually has his own YouTube channel. It's pretty big. He shows a lot of crazy decks on there, does games and discussions, and he's probably the best innovator of like Edison format. He's made some crazy decks and tops with those. He does not play meta decks as far as I've seen. Anyway, I'm sure you could play anything and win with it, but he made the KFC deck, the Cures Field Control deck. It has like Gear Towns, the big Gear Town Dragon in it, and he also made like the Amaryllis burn deck that he topped with back in an earlier RBT, and I think he had some Diva Neo-Spatian deck as well that he topped in a charity event with. So if it's spicy, it's usually he's playing it, and he's usually the one who's making it. So I am kind of familiar with the KFC deck. I have the general idea. I know that it plays the Cures to draw a bunch of cards and kill the field spells, and special summon the big Gear Town Dragons. So we are here. Let's get into the review, and then after this one, we'll have we'll get into the next match or the next round of the tournament. So let's cover this here. I know people are asking for me to show both hands. So I typically will show the next hand if I'm making up, or show the hand if I trap dust shoot, but I don't feel like it's worth showing my opponent's hand, because then you don't get the perspective from the day that I was playing, or the view that I saw. So if people would really like to see both hands, I feel it might lose a little bit of value, because it's easier to see the plays that should have been made, or the plays I make look kind of dumb when you look at both hands, right? Like, why did you set that? Well, because I didn't know that he had that in his hand. Like, that's why. So I will continue to just show my hand here. If you comment down there, a lot of people really want to see both, then I'll do that. But so let's get into this here. I think he goes first, which again is always important. So starting hand is no good. It's not terrible, but just you'd like to see a Goblin Zombie here. So T set. So in this situation here, let's see what we do. So you can do a few things. I'm not sure if the deck plays Raikou. For some reason, I believe it does, or I thought it did. So I could just summon Mizuki here and attack, thinking it's a Raikou. Also, you could just set like MST Dust Shoot, or one or the other, or you could do both if you wanted, just to have them flip the Raikou. So that's kind of what I was thinking here. I didn't want to summon Mizuki into possible bottomless, which it wasn't, but so my read is that this is a Raikou, and I'm hoping that he just flips Raikou, and I can just chain either of these. So now I have a decision to make here. Am I going to flip the Dust Shoot and allow him to flip the Raikou on this MST, which would be fine. Probably should have done that. I think I actually slow roll here, because I really think he has a Raikou, and I'm hoping that he either MSTs, heavies, or Raikous the trap Dust Shoot. So this is probably not the best play. I could have just flipped this because I still had the MST, and that way I could have looked at the hand and like sent back the Card Trooper, which is obviously going to cause an issue here. So I really just don't do anything here. I'm still waiting for this Raikou to flip, and it's not a Raikou, and I don't even think he actually plays it. After game 1, I realized that. I looked at the graveyard. I don't think the deck plays Raikous at all, because I just assumed it did, because it plays the whole Debris Dandy, but I don't think it does. So I get kind of punished for this, trying to be a little bit greedy. Still probably should have just flipped the Dust Shoot in the standby phase. That's one of those things where if you're playing certain decks, you can hold it a little bit longer, like, I don't know, Diva Hero, for example, if you wait for a Rhoda or an E-Call. Sometimes you want to wait for a heavy, but usually, more often than not, you're just flipping that in the standby phase. So we take some damage here for not playing appropriately. It's not the end of the world. So we MSC the new set, which is Solemn, so that's important. Getting rid of that, because that obviously will shut us right down. So this hand again, now we don't really have a hand that's very reactive, and we're still in the same situation we were in turn 1, where I have to possibly summon Mizuki into bottomless. And I don't have any real knowledge now because I didn't flip the Dust Shoot. So this started off kind of poorly. I was making a read that didn't exist, and that's one of the problems with doing that, right? If you play around what your opponent's doing the whole time. You have to be pretty accurate, or you're going to be punished for it. Where you should really be playing to the strengths of your own hand rather than what your opponent's doing. All right, so this is an example of that. I should have summoned the Mizuki because it probably was better choice turn one. If he has a Raikou, I still don't really get punished at all. The only card that punishes me is the Mizuki, is the Bottomless. So, sometimes making a read, if it's accurate, is great when you're playing around certain cards and you know that's there, and you just don't give your opponent an option to activate it. But also playing around things that aren't there is causes you some issues. So at this point, I believe I'm going to do a Plague play here. Let's see. So this isn't entirely the best play either, because if I'm playing around a Bottomless, then I probably shouldn't try to Synchro here into Bottomless. But this is going to be very telling here, because now that I have the return, I don't care as much about Bottomless. So I summon here and activate, and he lets it go through. So a good play here is Hadez, right? Because he can eat either one of these and stop the advantage from happening. So I think I'm trying to go for Hadez here. He doesn't Bottomless, but he Wing Blast, so this was kind of never happening anyway. But also, if it's anything but like a Bottomless or a Wing Blast, if it's Mirror Force, if it's Torrential, which I would have been punished for, I at least still have he would hit the graveyard and I would have Mizuki play to follow up. So Wing Blast is probably one of the worst case scenarios. It's even worse than Bottomless because now I can't return him. So, and then he pitches the ended line. So this is I'm bleeding advantage here because of the fact that I didn't flip a Dust Shoot first turn because I thought he had a Raikou set. So let's see how this goes. This deck is extremely explosive too. Like, you can drop a few of those dragons down, and you can't respond to them during the battle phase. So you can get OTK'd out of nowhere. It's pretty quick. So here's an example of that. I do have the Bottomless, luckily. Gives me 1,000 and another 1,000. So we're just bluffing here. We're thinking about something. There's really nothing we can think of. Now we can't even play Dust Shoot. So this is this is not a good game for me at all. As you can see, did not play well at all so far. So we top a Brain and we just play it at this point because we have the Mizuki play here, and that sets up for our return. So we're probably just going to take the Card Trooper and see if we can mill anything, but of course we don't. We just mill good stuff. So that's one of the downfalls. Again, I talked about that in the last match. If you're playing Raikous or Card Troopers or anything like that in your zombie deck, you never know what you're going to mill. And it would have been great here if I milled, an Illblood or some real zombie, Goblin Zombie or something, but that didn't happen. So, yep. So we Synchro here just so he doesn't get to draw. We attack Sangan, which is fine because we have Dust Shoot, so it just puts another card in his hand now. He tops Mole, obviously. He plays it immediately, didn't shuffle his hand. So we lose Catastor here. We summon Turtle. So we finally Dust Shoot. His hand is, I'll show you now. So we don't really have a choice. We kind of have to hit the debris here because he can Black Rose and blow up the board, and that will die, and then drops a big dragon. And then I'm in big trouble because I can't respond to it. So it would have been nice to be able to hit the Grand Mole, but obviously he starts the debris dragon, and we have to send it back. So and we know that he has a Brain Control anyway, and we know that we can't get over that, so we draw a Tomato. My guess is we're just going to set it. So this is fine setting this here because you want to stay ahead on the board in terms of monsters when they have Mole. That way they just can't Mole your guy and then attack directly. So you need to always have one more monster than them. Or you get like Grand Mole locked. So we're just going to let that happen. We can't stop it anyway. I'm going to stop showing his hand because we don't know this new card that's there. So I draw Mirror Force here, which is pretty good. So I could Mirror Force this here, but I feel like it doesn't get me anywhere because I know that that is a giant rat that I can't get over anyway. And I'm looking for a little bit more advantage with the Mirror Force right now. Um, I have some knowledge from the dust shoot. Obviously, I know he has a brain control. I know he has a mole. I know he has a giant rat. And I'm not really in a position where I'm going to die at this point in time. So I'm hoping that he will flip this rat at some point, and maybe I can get the +1 here. So I'm okay with just playing the whole Grand Mole attack, summon, attack, and I'll set and play this game back and forth because it doesn't put any pressure on me. So, alright, so I draw a Goblin Zombie here. I do have a Plague Spreader, so I could summon the Goblin Zombie and maybe stack for Plague, but what is that going to get us? Not really going to get us anywhere. Here, I could make a Hadez again and maybe run over this. So I just set the tomato just in case he does decide to flip the giant rat, and maybe he bounces the turtle, and then I at least have the tomato to keep a board presence, search something. So he's drawing a bunch of spells and traps now. So in this situation here, I am thinking to myself that I actually have. Do I have a game shot? Let me see here. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm thinking here, to be honest with you. I could have summoned the Goblin Zombie and then synchro with that. I don't know why I'm using the Pyramid Turtle. I'm trying to figure this out. Oh, so the reason why I use the Pyramid Turtle so I can keep priority here. So I think I'm trying to make a return play and potentially go for game. I think that's my thought process here. So if I summon Goblin Zombie and I use that for the synchro, I miss priority. That's important with specifically Goblin Zombie. So sometimes, I think I discussed it in earlier videos, sometimes you just have to synchro with something different to keep to have priority with Brio. At this point anyway, I don't think there's a whole lot for Goblin Zombie to search. Spirit Reaper there's still a card to search. Spirit Reaper, obviously, you want to be synchronized with Goblin Zombie every time, but in this situation here, I wanted to get priority because I'm able to possibly stack for Plague, return, and I think I can OTK here if everything went through, which good luck. But so let's see what happens here. So he actually doesn't have a response to Brio here. So this is I remember this play here because he actually stops everything I'm trying to do. So he thinks about this here. He actually reads that I have the return and blind MSTs here. Watch. So he blind MSTs because now he sees that I'm going to potentially synchro with the Brio here, maybe make a Stardust, and set up a return play. And I want the I want the Plague Spreader and the Mizuki to come back so I can make another level 6, and then I can Mizuki the Zombie Master out and really have a big board. And I have a Mirror Force behind it. So he chains the MST here and hits the return. So I end up chaining the return anyway because I still have the Plagues play because Plague's coming out, but I actually lose the opportunity to win the game. So that was like really, really heads up. I think I talked to him about it, or he mentions it in another video. I think he posts this match on his channel actually, and specifically says that he's looking to hit the return here, and he does. So that's pretty smart. So at this point, I can still potentially win the game, but all this has to go through, and I don't have a Stardust now, so this is like not as good. I could have made Stardust with the Plague, but then Mizuki will get banished at the end of the turn, and it's not enough for game. So this is the only way to truly have a game shot. Looking at this game has been played poorly by me the whole time. This is not how you should play zombies at all. And I really could have just kept playing this slow and just kind of trying to build up advantage again. So as we know, he has Mirror Force and Wing Blast, so this is just not going to go through, and I'm not going to win this game. Yeah. So that was a very poor play. So here I take 1400 because Mirror Forcing doesn't change anything, and he thinks that this card is dead. So he Wing Blasts that on top of the deck again, which is the Mirror Force. So we are not going to die quite yet. goes right to battle phase. We flip the Mirror Force. So somehow we're still in this game despite that awfulness. So he draws the Gear Town and stacks over it. So now he's going to get the big dragon again. So we're starting to Spirit Reaper, which I know he has brain control because I trap dusted earlier in the game. So right now, like, that card's pretty dead, and you know, if a couple things go my way, I'm still in this game. But let's see what happens here. Draws Terraforming, so he can actually drop another dragon. I don't know how many he plays, but so he's just gonna attack. So if I let's see what happens here. So I end up just forfeiting because I know that he has the brain control, and if I sack for the Caius, he just brain controls and kills me. So it doesn't matter. So I can't win the game because I draw Golors there. So if I know that went a little bit quick, but if I tribute the Spirit Reaper on the board for Caius and then remove the dragon, he doesn't even need a torrential there. He takes 2400 and then he just brain controls. So that's why I go to the next game. I don't feel like it's even worth playing any more cards, so he doesn't see anything. But he did not play a single Raikou that whole game, so that game one was played very poor. And that's what the point of this whole channel is, for me to kind of discuss some of my games and my thoughts and really point out ways to play better, because you know, I don't play perfectly every game. I post plenty of videos up here and matches and discuss games where I make misplays just like anybody else. So this hand's much better. We have, you know, playable cards and a Goblin Zombie here, and now we know there's no Raikou, so Torrential Goblin Zombie is just really good. So we're not reading that as a Raikou, that's for sure. So here we can do one of two things. We could summon Spirit Reaper, flip the Goblin Zombie and attack, and hope that that is a Dandelion, which, well, doesn't really help us at all. Yeah, or we could hope it's a Raikou that doesn't exist, but most of the time that could be a giant rat, that could be a Dandelion like it is. So I think I just set here, or no, I attack. Okay. Yeah, I don't summon the Spirit Reaper here because I have Torrential set, so I don't want to lose Spirit Reaper here. I don't have to do anything. I can just attack and see what it is. If it's a giant rat, that's fine. So it is Dandelion, so the Spirit Reaper would never have gone through. I usually like to summon that card and try to get as much advantage from it, but against him, you know, giant rats are around, Dandelion's around. It's just not going to get the value right there. So we set Sangan here, and the reason why I set Sangan is because A, Torrential doesn't matter, and B, like I said, the deck is pretty explosive now that he has Dandelion. He could potentially summon Debris Dragon, he could do a bunch of Gear Towns, and he could, you know, the deck could drop 6,000 damage pretty quickly. It could probably kill you in one shot if it really, if he has enough cards. So, oh, so here he goes. So he gets a dragon here. So this is a decision by me that makes me look like I actually know what I'm doing, but I don't Torrential on the summon here because I don't really care. Right now he has one threat of one monster, and if he kills either of them, I can summon Gale and half it and then still Synchro. So I don't Torrential here. I'm sure a lot of people would, because the dragon you can only respond to the dragon right now. But I also have a Wing Blast too, so I don't need to do anything with it right yet. So I don't. So now he doesn't think I have Torrential or Bottomless. So now I get the Debris play. So now we hit the Torrential. So this right here is like, this blows the game right up here. So at the end of it, he ends with the 2 tokens still, but I get 2 searches, and like he just lost a Debris and a big dragon. So yeah, that was that not Torrentialing on that first big card there was actually a pretty good play. You know, that, not that I have a whole lot of them, but that really gets me a few searches here. So this card here, Black Garden, will kill this whole deck because you can't OTK through it at all, because everything that you make is just half, you know, gets halved. So it's really hard. And then they put tokens all over the board, so you can't like Brio and try to win the game. So we get rid of that immediately. We MST it. We can't play with that card on the board. So I have 6 cards. He has 3. I am sitting pretty here. you know, any you can summon Zombie Master here, pitch and kill 2 tokens. That's fine. If he has Crow, whatever, doesn't matter. So I think that's what we do. Yep. So we don't want to really leave him with tokens. I don't know if he plays Kai's, but I know he plays Titanial. So we just, you know, kill them, and we have a Wing Blast for defense. So. Alright, so he actually draws and just scoops. I don't see his hand. He doesn't want to play any more cards. I was in a lot of control in that game. That big torrential blowout really won me the game there. So we're going to a game 3. I played a lot better that game too. Maybe the nerves were getting to me. It was the last round. I really wanted to top 8, so definitely played a lot better. So let's get into game 3. And let's see. So this hand's really, it's decent, right? We can set a Goblin Zombie, a Sangan, and we also have a Diva play if the Goblin stays on board. So he gets a, he doesn't Titanial here, so I'm pretty sure he has it in his hand. He does. Okay, good. Because Titanial would be a problem right now. That card is a problem in general. It's really good. The problem is it's in your hand all the time. But this card, like, is good against a lot of things, especially D prisons. It's really, really good. But the downside is you just seem to draw it all the time with Dueling Book. So, so what do we got here? We could summon anything and attack here if we wanted. Summon Sangan or Goblin Zombie. We set. And we set heavy and bottomless. So I'm trying to pro him here, hoping that he makes something that I can bottomless, or he does a dragon play and I can bottomless. Heavy's not that good against this deck. Thinking about it now, I probably could have sided it out, because if they leave a face down Gear Town, you don't really want to have to heavy that, because then he gets to special summon the big dragon. So he's doing it himself. That's fine. So this is actually looking like it's going to work. So right now I'm thinking to myself, before I draw this card here, that I have a heavy, and I don't care if this is a Gear Town at all. Actually, I prefer that it is a Gear Town, because what I'm going to do is, let me draw. So what I'm going to do is, if this is Gear Town, which it's not, but we can say it is, if I heavy here, he gets a big dragon. I then can flip the Goblin Zombie, attack the Dandy, and he gets 2 tokens, and then I summon Gale and Black Rose the board, and I will win the game. Because I will have, like, I don't know, a +2 or 3, and I'll probably end up winning the game with DD Crow in my hand. So I heavy here because I don't care. I actually hope it's a Gear Town, and I'm a little bummed that it's not, because now it's not really worth Black Rosing. I do remember this specifically, because, like, now if I Black Rose, it's just, I don't know, I'm killing the face down and tokens. I just don't think it's worth it. So I was actually kind of hoping that was a Gear Town. That way it would feel a little bit better doing this play. So instead of killing the tokens here, I attack the face down just to see what we have, to see if it's worth even Black Rose or anything. Because, again, I could just attack the tokens and get rid of the Dandelion, but I attack the face down to see what it is, because I still have the Gale play. You know, you can make the argument to just get rid of the Dandy and get the 2 tokens, because now he's going to have a Titanial on board with 2 tokens. So looking at it now, maybe that was a better play, just attack the Dandelion. So I search Plague here. I'm trying to think of why I search Plague here. Oh, so I search Plague for because he can't kill the Sangan, and now I can make a Taster. So that's the reason why I searched Plague there. I guess I could have done it with Diva too, but oh, okay. So actually, ProStorm messaged me and pointed out a play that could have been a little bit better here. So what I could have done here is attack these 2 tokens like I do, and I could main phase 2 target to cut in half, and so now the Titanial is 1400, and then just make a Synchro. Problem with that is you have to, now if he trades, that would be the goal, would be for me to cut in half, and then he would just pop the Titanial, and then I end with Sangan on board, and that would fuel my Plague Spreader, Diva play, and my Caius. Now the other alternative is if he does not pop, which he may not, I would then have to Synchro into a Goyo, and then I leave him with a Titanial on board still, and potentially he could take my Goyo with a Brain Control or do something with the Goyo. So I think I elect to just do the Synchro play here for Bryonic. because my thought was he is going to negate the Bryonic 100%, but I'll be able to at least pitch the Necrogardener I'm going to search and get it to the graveyard. Um, so I guess I kind of valued having Necrogardener in the graveyard rather than trying to have Sangan on the field, because option number one with Gale on the board and the Sangan, if I cut in half, I am then leaving an option for my opponent to either A, negate or not negate, and now I have to respond based on what he does. Whereas here, I know for sure that he's going to negate, so I'm kind of controlling the way the play is, but Pro Storm definitely pointed that out. I think as we see how this game plays out, that probably having the Sangan on the field was better than having the Necrogunner. So, but I'm okay with this board here, with this state. It looks like it would be better if I have the Sangan on board, sure, but you also have to take into consideration, is he going to negate the Gale or not negate the Gale? And if he doesn't, then I'd have Goyo on the board, which is still fine. But if he takes my Goyo with a brain control, has Titanium on board, and then Gear Towns me, like, I think I'm pretty close to dead there. So not having Necrogar in the graveyard is also something to consider. So let's see what goes on here. So he just draws and passes. So that's like a read of Gore's, but his hands are actually dead. Double Crow. So we're just going to set the Plague here, set the Wing Blast. So the Sangan Search probably shouldn't have been Plague now that I think about it. Could have just been Goblin Zombie because I still had the Deaver, so that would have been fine too. This is all going to end up working out fine. So we attack because entirely we don't really care if he does have Gores at this point. We got to play around. So he's just drawing dead after dead after dead. He has Double Crow. This deck is post sideboard, so I don't have a lot of targets that he can really crow. He could crow the Necrogarner, but I can chain. And Plague, that's really it at this point. I don't have any Book of Lives in, as far as I remember. So, yeah, I have Smashing Grounds in instead. So at this point, he's just drawing really, really dead. We'll show the hand real quick. That way you can just see. Like, he does have a Debris Dragon, but I think he's kind of baiting me into playing more cards here so he can Black Rose the board. But Double Crow, Mausoleum is dead right at this point. Heavy, whatever, 1 for 1. So I think we just go directly to attack. Nothing needed to do here. We don't need to do anything else. So he heavies. He drew a Terraforming. So I think he's trying to do a big push here, which we don't care because we have Necrogod and we know we're not going to die. So he does the Debris play here, and I actually have DD Crow because I decided to get in. And he now can't Gear Town. So his goal was to, I think, Gear Town and then Black Rose would be my guess, and that doesn't happen. Oh, he does. Actually, he does because he still has the Mausoleum, so that's true. But that doesn't really matter because I have Smashing Ground. So he attacks over the Pyramid Turtle here. So if we needed to, we would have Necrogod in one of the attacks here, just so we could keep the fodder for the tribute. The Necrogon is really a good card in the zombie deck. I like it a lot. So let's see. So as you can see at this point, like we have a Smashing Ground. We have a lot of ways to out this card. We have a Caius. We could Synchro here if we wanted. I don't think so. This is playing it slow. There's absolutely no reason to smash and remove this and try to attack for 24. I just don't think it's worth it. I can save the Smashing Ground for another situation. I have a Necrogarn in the graveyard. It's unlikely I'm ever going to get killed here. I'm not going to get OTK'd. I searched the Zombie Master. He has Double Crow sitting in his hand. Double Crow. The only card that he even has a chance of using it on right now is the Zombie Master. And he drew another Terraforming, which is no good. So, in this situation here, he just had 2 dead cards in his hand because I've shown this off before. I just really tried to limit the cards that he could potentially DD Crow, and I think he was very surprised I side decked in DD Crows. I think he mentioned that in his video here because it really only hits the Debris Dragon, but this card really causes a big issue, right? It creates a lot of the combos for the deck by just blowing up the board and being able to bring out the dragon. So, Game 3, I could have made a couple of different decisions, maybe with the Sangan search Goblin Zombie rather than the Plague, since I already had the Diva. That was kind of an oversight by me when I was playing. The Necrogonner in the graveyard just does it need to be there? It turns out it wasn't relevant because I never needed to actually remove it. And like I said, Pro Storm, the best player in Edison format, hands down. He actually messaged me and told me, asked me what my thought process was. Essentially, my thought was that I valued having the Necrogarner in the graveyard at the time to not worry about being OTK'd, and also I'm not sure Karpath would have guaranteed negated the Gale play there. He could have left the Titano on board because it was main phase 2, and sure, I would have had Goyo Guardian on the board, but then leaving a synchro like that on your field opens up some liability. So looking at the way the game unfolded, definitely would have been 100% better just to have Sangan on board and hope that he would have just negated the Gale. And that's just make a decision during the game, and some of them work out and others don't. Obviously, game 1 was pathetic. I played awful, and I was playing around cards that didn't even exist, and that's really not how I typically play. I don't sit here and try to make reads on every single card. It was top 8 match. The winner here goes to top 8, so I think that got to me a little bit, but can't make excuses. You got to try to play. Really, the key is to play well enough throughout the Swiss or throughout the rounds of the tournament that you are able to at least make the top cut, and then in top cut you have to just play perfect, because if you don't play perfect, you're going to lose. Players are all as good, if not better, than you in top 8 of most tournaments, so you make foolish plays, you're not going to win the tournament. And playing in these other rounds here, where some of the opponents that you're playing against might be of lower skill or new to a deck, there is some room for you to stumble a little bit and maybe fumble a play here or there. But once you hit top 8, or if you're playing against really good players later in tournaments, it's just you can't win like that. So luckily I ended up stealing this match, I guess, from Karpath, really good player. And next video will be top 8, my top 8 match of Edison Worlds RBET Rulers, and I think after that we're going to have to find some new content, maybe start making some videos of some other things, and I'm open to some suggestions if you guys want to comment. Definitely still, I know I keep saying that the streaming, I got to get everything situated, but that is going to happen, and there is a big Deck Devastators tournament February 4th that I will be playing in. I plan to top, hopefully, right? That'll be my 4th tournament in a row. I did play the Swiss, the Peak and the Beak tournament. That was like a 48-hour Swiss tournament. Just not my style. I haven't played in the next one, so this will kind of be my first real big premier tournament back since World. So like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.